Tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Toku Secrets podcast presented by AnimeSecrets.org. I'm your host, Nathan Desai, and look, you can actually see us for this review.
Oh no! What have we done? In advance, I apologize for how bad we look. But, well, how bad I look. These guys are okay looking, I guess.
Don't be so mean to yourself, man. Come on.
Right.
I'm your host, Boken Silver, Nathan Desai, and we got Gokai Red, Rizwan,
Yep.
Merchant, and Kyoryu Green, Anthony Davis. Oh yeah. You can show your ring. I should wear my go-go changer in these videos now, shouldn't I?
Go-go changer.
I need a Gokai Morpher.
Gokai Morpher, or like even a shirt, just represent something.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I know we're gonna talk about it in this review, but I would love to have the sunglasses from Jungle Fury.
Yeah.
I would wear sunglasses during reviews.
Would you wear one that like I'm trying to think because I think I might know somewhere where you might be able to get like the authentic looking ones, not like the ones from the toys or whatever. I think they have like some that they might made that look similar to what they look in the show.
Oh dude, I'd wear it. Hands down, I would wear it. Let's go. Let's go.
So that kind of gives away what we're talking about today. So a brief preview. We are actually going to be doing full season reviews of Power Ranger seasons. The reason why we are starting with Jungle Fury, though, is because now we've already recorded one, but this is actually going to be posted before that one. As we said in our last Jetman review, the Sentai that we're going to be reviewing is Juken Sentai Gekiranger. So we're kind of in a spot where the Sentai that we're reviewing for the first time was adapted into a Power Ranger season that, spoiler alert in this video, we like the Sentai. You know,
we like the Ranger.
We love Gokaiger, but we hate Super Mega Force, and we love Shinkenger, but we hate Samurai.
Okay, hang on.
Nate,
you mean we like the Power Ranger season that we're reviewing the Sentai of?
Yeah.
You said Sentai is. You said we like the Sentai we're reviewing, and that's.
Okay, we like the Power Ranger season.
Yeah. Okay. Better.
So this is going to be like a thing where when we review a Sentai that was adapted into a Power Ranger season, that we'll do like a full season review of the Power Ranger season first.
Yeah.
And then do the Sentai stuff. And then after that, we'll do one of our verses where we compare the two things.
I am so hyped for that because I want to like decimate another team.
Exactly.
No spoilers on which team, but you can probably figure it out by the end of this review.
So, Jungle Fury. Jungle Fury was the Power Ranger season for 2008, airing from February to November of that year. I would know because I actually watched that season from start to finish as it was airing. So we'll just jump right in. Most of you people have watched this season, but I'll give a brief overview of the plot for maybe all two of you that don't know it.
Yeah, for the uninitiated.
So, three students who are named Casey Rhodes, Lily Chillman, and Theo Martin. They are students of the Pai Zhua Academy, a kung fu academy that teaches kung fu based on the movements of animals. They are chosen to be the new members of the Order of the Claw as guardians of the Dai Shi, which is an evil spirit that was imprisoned 10,000 years ago. Typical evil thing. Dai Shi gets, of course. Dai Shi is accidentally released and possesses a rogue student named Jared, and prepares to continue his conquest to rule the world. The three students travel to our city called Ocean Bluff. Really great name, by the way. That's actually a really great upgrade from the name of Operation Overdrive. Operation Overdrive has the most unimaginative city name ever. San Angeles.
We don't talk about it.
That's horrible.
I forgot that.
Even the city name is horrible for that season.
Okay,
But Ocean Bluff is good.
we can play a
They
game. Find something that we like about Operation Overdrive. Oh wait, it ended. That's the thing we like.
Mhm.
No. There was like one or two things about that show I liked, and
Okay, the
that's
Butler was
put it
cool.
mildly.
We'll talk about
Yeah.
that when the time comes.
If it ever comes.
They meet their new master, RJ. Uh, RJ is short for Robert James, which apparently was only specifically stated in a like a children's book. I never saw it. It's just I saw a picture from it on the Ranger Wiki. So that's the case. RJ gives them the ability to harness their animal spirits to allow them to become Power Rangers and protect the world from Daiichi's forces. Casey wields the Tiger Animal Spirit as the Red Ranger, Lily the Cheetah Spirit, Yellow Ranger, and Theo the Jaguar Spirit, Blue Ranger. And from then on, along the way, they meet several other Pai Zhua Masters who teach them new techniques. They gain new weapons and mechs. RJ joins them as the Wolf Ranger, the very first official Purple Ranger in Power Rangers history.
Yay.
RJ's friend Dominic Hargan, or Dom for short, joins them as the Rhino Ranger, and ultimately they all go through a series of obstacles and trials that comes down to the final battle with Daishi. So there's the plot for you. We won't go into all the details. You guys already know what happens. Just wanted to give that overview. I did want to bring up a couple of fun facts about this season. This is like a fun facts section that I'll do in all these seasonal reviews. We can give our thoughts on each of these fun facts as I go over them. This is the first series to introduce an American exclusive morpher. Technically Ryan's morpher from Lightspeed Rescue is American exclusive, but he's also an American exclusive ranger. So these are like American exclusive morphers for rangers that existed in the Sentai. They use solar morphers, sunglasses, which is different from the Gekirangers, Geki changers, because they use boxing glove like changers. Um, I don't know. I like both the changers. What would you think versus? I mean, I know we kind of already talked about this in the Gekiranger thing. We'll talk about it. I might prefer the Geki changers just because they go with the gimmick, but I don't want that to change the fact that I think the solar morphers are pretty cool.
I prefer the solar morphers as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I actually hated these things when they first came out. I was like, "What is this? Like glasses?" Ugh. But then now, adult me's like, "These things are actually pretty cool." They're not the Geki changers, obviously, but I mean, I like them.
I mean, the thing is, the sunglasses aren't just to look cool. I mean, they give you tactical information, they give you comms to your team, and I think you can even see like stuff like on your glasses visor type thing, like kind of like
Hmm.
the Iron Man thing, you know, like
You
that,
kind of
like a
cut out
HUD.
on my end a little bit.
Oh, I did. So what I was saying is, it's like the Iron Man HUD, where he has like all the information on screen, you know.
Can you hear us, Anthony?
Yeah.
Anthony, you
Okay.
good? Okay.
Yeah.
For the second time in franchise history, we get American exclusive Power Rangers. Um, the first time was the Titanium Ranger in Lightspeed Rescue. In this case, we have the three Spirit Rangers. Um, they were created specifically for Jungle Fury. Um, in fact, that is actually the reason why Jungle Fury does not have a battleizer, because they used all the money that they would have used for a battleizer to make the Spirit Rangers. I mean, Casey does have an American exclusive power up, his Strike Rider cruise, but he doesn't really use that in the show that much.
I mean, okay,
Um,
he uses it, but like, can we not have the motorcycle be like part of the battleizer gimmick thing?
it wasn't cool when
Yeah,
Carter
it
used
doesn't
it.
really count as a battleizer, honestly.
It doesn't, but it's like a power up at least, at the very least.
Yeah.
And it just kind of bugged me that they did that, honestly.
Do you think the it would have looked better without the have him having to wear that weird like body
Yeah,
to wear the motorcycle, or I mean to use the motorcycle? Did you think that was like a little bit too much, or
I think so.
That was always interesting though, because I remember like there being a handful of Power Ranger motorcycle toys where you would get the motorcycles and the Rangers would have like these body armors on. I remember the SPD toys having those figures, and I think the Dino Thunder toys. I mean, I never play when I got the motorcycle toys for SPD. I never actually used those figures that came with the motorcycles. I put those figures to the side and just had my regular Ranger figures just wear them. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought it was silly how they have the Rangers like don armor for the motorcycles and the toys, and it just looks silly when they actually do it on the show in Jungle Fury.
Yeah.
But what do we think of the Spirit Rangers here?
I mean, okay, so I like the fact that the Masters are Rangers, but I think the cooler part of it is that they're not really the Rangers. They're avatars for the Masters. Like, the Masters don't have to physically be there to have the Ranger form be there. And I think that's a
right?
pretty cool idea. Like, it gives them a way to come and be a helping hand when they need. Like, at some point, if I'm not mistaken, the three primary Rangers can call upon their Master's Spirit Ranger form when they need it. And they're there to help. And I like that part a lot.
I wish they did it more often, though. That's my only real complaint.
Well, you gotta think about the budget
Right.
for Jungle Fury and how many different problems they had in production at the time. So I don't know if your notes have it, Nate, but I'm gonna put it in here anyway, just because. Um, Jungle Fury was a casualty of the writer strike going on in America
Yep.
back in 2008 or whatever. And for those of y'all back home, Jungle Fury, like that was the same year that Heroes season 2 was airing on NBC. Um, and that was, in my opinion, the downfall of many TV shows in that year. Like, Heroes never recovered after that pitfall that they faced with season 2. They got a little bit better here and there, but they could never recreate the magic of season 1 and the beginning of season 2. And that's all because of the writer's strike. But unlike Heroes, Jungle Fury actually didn't suffer as hard, in my opinion. Anthony, you still there? Your video kind of cut out. Oh, he is AFK for a sec. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, we could talk about I do think that the Writers Guild strike had some effects on the early episodes, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, I have
Just
many
good of you
thoughts
to
on
bring that
that.
up. What was that?
I have many thoughts on the writer strike and where it impacted the season the most.
I do think that the big impact, though, not necessarily on Jungle Fury, is that it did lead to Jackie Marchand, who, keep in mind, had been on Power Rangers since Turbo
Yeah,
as like a writer.
Hmm.
That actually led to her, I think, getting kicked off the show before RPM because a lot of people thought that with Bruce Kalish leaving the show after this season, Jackie Marchand would get it just because she's been there since for like over 10 years, but Disney was mad that she participated in that writer's strike, so I think that was the biggest impact.
well, I think not only that. I think so. I know a lot of the writers when they went on strike with the writer strike,
Mm-hmm.
um, they did continue working under pseudonyms as well. Um, I don't know. I don't know which of the writers did it for Power Rangers per se, but I do know that throughout the writer strike in that year, whenever that happened, that the writers kept working, but under pseudonyms, so they can still get paid later when everything was resolved, while sticking to the moral high ground that they're looking for to get better conditions and better pay.
Yeah.
So I think they were still there.
Yeah.
It does suck though how she got kicked off, because
Yeah.
she was probably like the best person in the room during Bruce Cowish's era. Like, she openly called out how bad Once a Ranger was, literally saying that Once a Ranger makes the main Operation Overdrive Rangers look like, pardon my language here, assholes. That's her specific wording, by the way.
It is. And
But they are though.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah, I think she had a lot of issues with Overdrive and what they were doing, the direction they were going.
she was probably like the one sane adult in the room at the time.
Now, something to keep in mind, since we are talking about Zaki Marchand, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look into it more later, but I feel like she might have also had a contract with Disney up until Jungle Fury. And if you recall, Jungle Fury was supposed to be the proper end to the Disney era, until Disney realized, oh crap, we're contractually obligated to do one more season. So it might also be that her contract elapsed before the end, and that's why they had Judd Lin, but then he left, and somebody else came in after. I forget his name.
No, well, for RPM they brought in Eddie Gazillion, then fired him, and then replaced him
Gazillion.
with...
There you go.
Yeah.
Judd Lin came in after Gazillion. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta make a video later on that, talking about the troubled history of Power Rangers RPM.
I learned a lot about RPM's history very recently, actually, from another podcast that I follow quite a bit for Power Ranger stuff. And they go into pretty good detail on what RPM could have been had Gazillion stuck around.
Mhm.
For example, we may not have had the Andros and Astronema plot again.
Yep.
But
We-
that's for
we
another
probably
review.
have,
That's for
yeah.
another podcast, I feel.
So to kind of go off the next fun fact here, which is interesting since it was supposed to be the proper end. For years, this season had no direct connections to any other, Power Ranger seasons. We never saw the Jungle Fury Rangers interact with their predecessors or successors. I mean, even Mystic Force, which never got a team up, you at least had Xander interact with, you at least had Xander for Once a Ranger there. So
Yeah.
Mystic Force just had a tiny
Yep.
connection there, but in this case, there was no connection. It would finally be rectified many years later in Super Megaforce when Jason Smith, who played Casey, who was also a writer on the show, he reprised his role in a brief cameo in the episode Spirit of the Tiger, which is one of the very few good episodes of Super Megaforce, although even that episode has its problems. I'm looking at you, Troy.
Yeah.
Never let go of your weapons.
Never let go of your weapons.
Never let go. Oh, I need to find that photo I made for Taco Sentai Did Ranger now.
Oh yeah, the let it go.
It was I made a photo, a meme
Oh man,
of
that was funny.
Elsa holding the Gokai sabers, singing "Never Let Go of Your Weapons," and I have to go find that now. It's somewhere on YouTube. I know that.
Yeah, it's definitely still there, I think.
Yeah.
Just a fair warning now, when I get to that point, when I'm doing my own little version of Super Megaforce, that line is burned. I am not going to put that line in.
Well, yeah, because you have good taste.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
A couple of things
That
about
and the whole Robo Knight, if you have mission to fulfill thing.
Yeah. A couple of facts about the casting here. So David Day Latour. I always get his name wrong. I have met him in person though. He's really awesome.
Where do you meet him, Morphicon?
Lucky.
I met him in 2016.
At Morphicon?
Yeah.
Sweet. I want to meet him so bad.
In fact, he was actually leaving. And that was going to be his last day at the con. So I was probably like the last person to meet him at Morphicon 2016.
Dang.
Actually, he was getting all packed up, and he still let me meet him. So he was awesome.
Hey, I have nothing but respect for that man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've also met the guy who played Dominic Nikolai. I don't know how to pronounce his last name either. So, but
I can't even begin to try and tell you how to pronounce his last name.
yeah,
Like, I've tried to look at it a couple times, but I just don't know.
yeah. I still want to meet the main three though. Although Anna Hutchinson does show up at a lot of cons, so
Yeah.
at least meeting Lily isn't But anyway,
yeah.
the guy who played RJ, apparently, I saw this on the Ranger Wiki. He originally auditioned for the role of Taizon, the Mercury Ranger, on Operation Overdrive, which I don't know if I would want to see him in that role.
Thank God.
No, I'm glad he didn't get that role. Also, Anthony, your video died again. Testing new technology is great.
I had network disconnection for some reason.
Oh, okay.
It's always weird.
Yeah,
Sorry. It's always weird thinking about these actors in different roles. Like, the guy who played Eric auditioned for Adam at one point and just barely lost it to Johnny Yong Bosch.
He auditioned for Tommy too, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know he auditioned for Chad in Lightspeed Rescue.
Really?
The only other one I can remember is that the actress who played Gia auditioned for Emily in Samurai.
I'm actually glad she didn't get it there in Samurai.
She wouldn't have fit that role at all.
Mm-mm.
Nothing to talk about there. Just wanted to bring up that. I don't think I've said this before, but because Power Rangers was being filmed in New Zealand at the time, believe it or not, we actually got a lot of actors who were in Lord of the Rings. Because keep in mind, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy was filmed in New Zealand. And I just feel we need to bring this up because I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, and I like to bring up these tie-ins. This season in particular had three people. Nathaniel Lees, who plays Master Mao. He was Ugluk, who was in the second movie, The Two Towers. He's the leader of the Orokai that's taking Merry and Pippin back to Saruman. And everybody knows who he is because he has the iconic line, "Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys." That's Master Mao, ladies and gentlemen. Bruce Alpris, who played Master Fant. Now, he doesn't say anything, but he plays a soldier of Rohan, whose name is apparently Aldor, and he accidentally starts the Battle of Helm's Deep when he loses control of his bow and shoots the first Urukai. Everybody remembers that. And Bruce Hopkins, he voices one of the Five Fingers of Poison, Gakko. He is Gamling, who's King Theoden's right-hand man in the Two Towers and Return of the King. He was also the voice of Chubo in Ninja Storm. Yeah. And to kind of round this up before we kind of jump into just talking about some more of the review things, we got a bunch of actors who were in previous seasons. I just want to go a rundown. Sarah Thompson, who plays the main civilian ally Fran. She was previously the voice of a monster of the day called Hydrax in Power Rangers SPD, and she also played the human form of said monster. Holly Shannon, who plays Camille, was Lily, a recurring character in Mystic Force. Flip the Fly is voiced by Kelson Henderson, because this is a Bruce Kalish season, and one of the big traditions of Bruce Kalish is that Kelson Henderson always has to play a comic relief character. He was Boom in SPD, good character. He was Phineas in Mystic Force. You could have done without him. He was Norg in Operation Overdrive.
Norg!
No.
He was terrible.
What was it? What was his name? I guess he was a mentor character in Ninja Steel. I haven't watched it. His name is Mick.
Mick.
Mick Mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually did pretty decent.
I'm not even joking. That's literally his name. He was okay in that.
It wasn't terrible, but he will always be Boom from SPD to me.
Boom was his best role.
Yeah.
And he also played a few monster roles too. I know he played Devastation. One of my favorite monsters of SCBE actually. I kind of imitate his voice a little bit. Yeah.
He was Mig, one of the Fear Cats in Operation Overdrive too.
Mm-hmm.
Circle.
Oliver Driver, who played Master Swoop, was the voice of the cat genie Gingy in Mystic Force, and he apparently still works on Power Rangers. He does a lot of directing behind the camera now. Michelle Langstone, who was Master Gwen, was part of the main cast of Power Rangers SPD. Cat Manx, really cool.
Whenever I was watching Single Fury a couple of weeks ago before Christmas, I thought she looked familiar, but it wasn't until I went on Ranger Wiki that I figured out why.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool when I figured it out.
Stig Eldred, who played Master Rilla, he would serve as the narrator for the openings of every Neo Saban era season from Samurai to Dino Supercharge. And finally, Andrew Lang, Master Lope. He voiced several monsters, but his two big roles is that he was the voice of Venjix in RPM, and by extension, Evox and Beast Morphers. And with Robert Axelrod no longer with us, he is now voicing Lord Zed. At least he did in Dino Fury, so I guess we can assume that he'll do so in Cosmic Fury. We'll see.
Yeah, I would hope so.
So that I'm sorry that took up some time, but that kind of wraps up the fun facts thing. We can kind of dig more. Pun not intended here. We can actually dig our claws into this now. So the story here, we just went over the story. I kind of want to break the ice here with it. So. I'm going to say this in the Gekiranger video that's going to get posted after this, and I'm going to maintain this throughout our Gekiranger series. I think Gekiranger has a better plot setup, because my problem with Jungle Fury is that, I think that the mythology surrounding Pai Zhua is a little confusing, because it's like, they say that they formed the Pai Zhua specifically to form Order of the Claw to be Guardians of the Daishi. But, okay, so here's the problem. Like, why are there only 3 Guardians of the Daishi? There were 6 students in that class when Casey, Theo, and originally Jared, but then later Casey get selected. So, is every class only 6 students? What happens to those 3 students that don't pass? Do they just get their brains neuralized, like in Men in Black?
No, I think what happens is they all get trained in the way of the Pai Zhua, and they're all given, they all have an animal spirit. But I think the 3 best are given the job of handling Pai Zhua. And while they don't say it in Jungle Fury, I would have to guess that the others that are not selected may be understudies or maybe backups for that generation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, keep in mind, up until this point, the idea of Power Rangers and Pai Zhua did not exist until RJ did what he did.
Yeah, so another reason we like RJ is because he's the reason we have Power Rangers in Jungle Fury.
Yeah, my headcanon is that RJ knew Dr. Oliver and Haley, and he commissioned Haley to create the Solar Morphers for the Jungle Fury cast.
That makes sense.
Given
Yeah.
he literally said in there, yeah, I had a friend of a friend of an uncle or a friend or something that made the Morphers for me. And
Yeah,
I
he helped him
mean,
tap into the morphing grid. He said specifically he helped him tap into the morphing grid.
yeah, I mean,
Specifically.
who better than Haley or Cam?
That is true.
Because Billy's off world, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Um, and there's nobody else I would trust to do that. And SPD set way later. So that's my headcanon on that. But no, I think the other students at a Pai Zhua retain some kind of role within the order even after they're not given the rank of master or whatever to be the guardian.
But then I don't know how this whole thing is set up. Like, we see that Jared was a student when he was a kid, and at the end of the series, we see Casey doing a beginner's class where it's nobody but kids except Jared and Camille. But Casey joins the academy when he's a fully grown adult, and
No,
like,
no, that's not
No.
correct. Casey's been with the order most of his life, but he graduated through the ranks to get to the point where he's a towel boy as a side
okay,
thing.
I
I
guess.
don't
No.
I don't think he
Mm,
just joined like that day or something. I think he's been around for years.
But you do have to remember, Casey said he's only been here a week in the first episode. I remember him saying that. It's Theo was the one that's been in Pai Zhua for like a couple years.
But
Because
even
they show a flashback of him training with
Lily.
Master Mao.
Yeah.
But Theo is another problem because, like, Theo says that when RJ's giving them out weapons, Theo says he mastered the use of Tonfa in his second year. We see him training with the Tonfa in a flashback where he's hardly younger than how he is. So, was Theo also kind of like I don't know. I guess maybe you could say that there are special exceptions, like how in Star Wars, like they usually adopt Jedi to be Jedi when they're babies, but they make like an exception with someone like Anakin.
Well,
Because
Hmm.
well, maybe it's that they're trained elsewhere, not in the Pai Zhua order directly, and so it's like a feeder system or something to bring them from whatever baby Pai Zhua school they have to the big boy league whenever they're old enough and trained enough.
Mhm.
Because clearly Casey has some skill. Like he can't just go from complete rookie with no idea how Pai Zhua works to being the Red Ranger. And yeah, I know RJ did a lot of training with him to get him caught up with the rest of the guys, but at the same time, he didn't start from square one. He started from like square five.
but I think the big thing that does it for me that kind of puts Gekiranger above this, just with the story, is that so we know that Pai Zhua has been around for a while because like Master Mao establishes that there were people there to defeat Daishi when he first rose to power. I want to know more about like the origins of Pai Zhua because okay, a little bit of a actually not really a big spoiler because you probably figured this, but in Geki Ranger we are going to find out the origins of how
Yeah.
Juken came to be. So
Hmm.
the straight up like origins, and they go into a lot of details. Sorry about that spoiler, Riz, but
I
you probably
mean, I
figured.
I figured it out from our review of Gekiranger.
Yeah.
Like
So
up until this point for the audience, we've done episodes 1 through 11, and I haven't watched anything after just yet because
well, I'm
it's
not gonna give the details, but
yeah,
let's
no,
just say
but
that
I
this is
I I got the inkling of it from our review for that. So
and,
you didn't really spoil anything for me, at least.
and I'm now, like I said, I mean, I do think that Jungle Fury does the character stuff a lot better. But like with the overall plot, I think Geki Ranger has the stronger premise because it's about like two people with like two schools with like who follow the same type of fighting style clashing, like in the same way that like the battle between Jedi versus Sith.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
then
my take. What was that, Anthony? Go ahead.
and then I also noticed that like they didn't really give like so. Well, I can't really talk about it because it's kind of a spoiler for Riz. Like as far as like the different names of different like stuff that they use for Gekiranger is like not really present in Jungle Fury.
Yeah.
But like I think the only two things that Jungle Fury meant, like as far as like power moves wise, I think was Renzen, I think, and Sokado, I think that was
Mhm.
I
called.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they never called the Rangers powering up. They never had referred it to whatever they had as a special power or anything. So it was just kind of like, it's like, really, y'all? Like y'all gave the villains like cool names for their powers, but y'all didn't give Pai Zhua anything to call themselves whenever they use their powers for something.
This feels like the more y'all talk, this feels like we're entering that territory of Power Rangers does good with the moment, like on scene stuff. But I've noticed historically, before and after Jungle Fury, they don't do well with backstory development of like anything. So, for
Yeah.
example, Samurai, you don't know Zack about any of the family stuff that came before it. Much like in
No.
Sinkinzer, you don't know anything about the families there either, and it really frustrated us in the Sinkinzer review. Um, Same thing is true for like, how did Tommy get this ability to make dino eggs and dinosaurs and all this power stuff? Like, the explanations given in Dino Thunder for that are also very lacking, in my opinion. Um, and honestly, Nate, the arguments you're making for Jungle Fury kind of apply to Ninja Storm as well.
Yeah. And even me, who's an avid fan of Ninja Storm, can actually attest to that because I'm like,
Like,
how
like, how does it work? How did you pick these three to be the ones to represent the Rangers? Because you have to assume that the Wind Ninja Rangers were not the first ones; that there were people before them that carried that power prior.
Yeah, but then you realize like they didn't even show us like how, because we all know that they're all three Tori, Shane, and Dustin. They're all friends prior
Yeah.
to Ninja Storm's even introduction. Why isn't that we haven't seen them first actually join the Ninja Academy? I would have liked to seen that. Like, oh, like this is like maybe Sensei kind of sought them out and thought that hey, these guys might be good ninjas. I don't know, like, or
And
maybe they stumbled upon the interest of the Wind Ninja Camp by accident, and then Sensei was like, "Oh, not many people know about this location. I wonder how you three knew about it." Blah blah blah. That type of thing.
and this feels like a very Disney era problem, and it continues to the Neo Saban era, where we don't get a lot of information on where these powers come from, what's the underlying mythology and lore for these different seasons. And yeah, I mean, I agree with y'all that there's a lot of things that we could have gotten a lot more detail on here in Jungle Fury. But I wanted to point
Mhm.
out that this is not just something that Jungle Fury struggled with, but I feel like the majority of the Disney era and Neo Saban and Beyond eras also suffer with. Um, I don't think the Saban era struggled as much as the others did, though,
No.
Yeah.
because everything up until the Z Wave was all pretty well defined. I had no issues with that, minus the Turbo Ranger powers. That will forever bug me why we didn't have Zeo powers continue. Like, I get it, you ran out of Sentai footage and you want to pay them to do it again to make, O Ranger 2 footage, like how you did with Zeo 2 footage. But the end story answer to why doesn't exist and it bugs me. But beyond that, I would say that the Saban era handled this type of thing really well.
Yeah, and even with that Zeo thing they originally had, like a story that they wanted to explain the loss of his Zeo powers. It's just the Turbo movie was over like 3 hours long, and they had to cut a lot of content out. So
Yeah, I wish they
like
kept those behind the scene things or like cut scenes that we could see, like on a
like
extra DVD or something.
I think
Yeah.
there was supposed to be like scenes where like Divatox destroys the Zeo and Super Zeo Megazords, and the Rangers lose their Zeo powers or something.
I mean,
Like,
and that'd be better than them saying, "Oh, Cat got wet. We can't use his powers anymore."
mhm.
Like that's the only inference you have for why they lost their powers.
Yeah,
But overall, this is a very Power Rangers issue, in my opinion.
yeah.
But the things that you're bringing up, in my opinion, I just watched Jungle Fury again like a couple of weeks ago. Those didn't detract at all from my experience of enjoying it and ranking it in like my top three best seasons of all time.
Same.
Okay, yeah. In fact, I think I'm going to make a really bold. I'm going to go into more detail at the end when we're giving our overall grade, but okay. Previously, I've said that my big three, like the holy trinity for Power Rangers, is In Space, Time Force, and SPD. Part of me really might be thinking about demoting SPD and promoting Jungle Fury into its place. Like, I
Well,
am
Wow.
really
Wow.
considering
it's
that.
it's not. We talked about this prior to the review, Nate. I told you maybe a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to demote my third, which at the time was Lightspeed. But the more I look at Lightspeed now, after I don't know, maybe it's been 4 or 5 years since I watched it the first time, but Lightspeed has not aged as I've seen more Tokusatsu and more Sentai and more Rangers. And I think Jungle Fury has sealed its claim on spot number three, in my opinion. And,
Wow.
Time Force, Space, and Jungle Fury are like my top three, and I've heard the Holy Trinity.
Yeah. I think one of the big things, I don't have a section noted here in the review, but I do want to bring this up briefly. Jungle Fury, in my opinion, of the four Kalashira seasons, for those back home who don't know, Kalashira is everything from SPD to this season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jungle Fury has the best action scenes of any um, Kalashira season because, like, okay, SPD's action scenes could be okay. I mean, a lot of their action was Sentai footage, so
Well, I was about to
I mean,
say, the Sentai footage from Gekiranger
yeah.
is pretty phenomenal. Like, I love the Megazord fights in SPD that they pulled from Gekiranger.
hmm
Those are really well done, in my opinion.
Um, but when they had to use original footage, there was too many laser effects, too many. I don't think the Cal explosions were terrible, but they could get bad in some cases of SPD.
That was the start of it. That was it. That was
Yeah.
the start of it right there.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Callus explosions didn't get terribly annoying until Overdrive to me.
Oh
Yeah, I was
yeah.
about to get
God.
that. With Mystic Force, I watched some of Mystic Force action scenes and I want to like them, but why do you add those stupid laser sound effects every time the Rangers punch and kick a villain?
I was
Like,
so I haven't watched the Neo Saban era in quite some time because I value my sanity.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I was reading on Twitter earlier, somebody mentioned that the Neo Saban era uses the same sound effects for every season, even if it doesn't have any relevance to be there.
hmm
Wow.
And I can't say that I remember it per se because I try to block out most of the Neo Saban era. I'm looking at you, Ninja Steel. But um, I definitely want to mention that, yeah, this is something I've read, but I can't substantiate it because I don't want to go back and watch it. I will watch it at some point if we ever get around to reviewing those seasons, but are we? I don't think so.
We'll put it off as long as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I want to like Mystic Force's action scenes, but I can't. Operation Overdrive, no. I the few times that they use Bokinger action footage, okay, that's fine. But when they're not using it, everything explodes.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Everything.
But this season, okay, this season has some Cal explosions. It does because Bruce Cowish is the executive producer, and there's no getting around that. But I think I think they're really restrained, and they're only used for scenes to like show that the Rangers are being defeated or something. There's no laser sound effects during the punching and kicking, and a lot of their action scenes are original footage. So
And
they could have easily added those effects, but they don't.
and that's the
And
thing is that they did it tastefully here. Like I think Disney figured out the formula for the Callus explosions in this season, and they had really honed it down. But then Callus was no longer with the team for the next season.
so I just wanted to give like a brief shout out to the action scenes. I think Jungle Fury really brought it up to a new level.
Yeah.
Which normally I don't want to give credit for the action scenes if they're just using the Sentai footage, but they're not using Sentai footage a lot of the time in Jungle Fury.
Well, they
So
can't because they have 3 new Rangers that are American footage.
yeah.
And I mean, the Spirit Rangers aren't there all the time. They're kind of there inters- interspersed like throughout the latter half of the season, like maybe in the last 10 episodes or so. But they're done. All those scenes are new footage.
Yeah.
The finale is Sentai footage, stock footage, I can tell, but nothing before that is really all Sentai.
And then you also know that like the whole reason why they use more American footage for Jungle Fury is because like in Gekiranger, as we all know, John is not exactly like Casey. So they have to use more American footage because in some of the Sentai footage you can kind of see John being kind of like a jungle boy basically and just being
Okay.
like I mean it's not always shown. The Sentai footage can sometimes show him like, looking heroic or like how Casey would be, but at the same time it's not good for Sentai footage for them to use because like he doesn't look like how he is at how Casey would act.
No.
Yeah.
We'll get to this in the next podcast. You'll hear my thoughts, but real quick, Don is a terrible red. He is absolutely terrible red so far.
You want to know something real funny though? Is that like
He doesn't get any better.
A later episode I've seen of Gekiranger. I won't tell you which episode it is, but like he gets slapped by somebody, and I replayed it like 3 times because it was just that funny to see him get slapped by somebody.
Okay, I didn't know I had this want in my life until now, but I desperately want to see Marvelous slap Zan.
Oh, that's great.
I just want to see Marvelous look at him and say, "You're an idiot." That would make my life.
Which he is, and it's like.
I mean,
now, to be fair, I know you probably asked me why I thought Gekiranger was one of my favorites. It was not because of him. We'll clear that up right now.
I know.
He is not the highlight of that show.
And we'll get to your thoughts on why in our next Gekiranger podcast. We're gonna open with that, and we're gonna talk about this for a little bit because I have many questions that I want to ask you, but not right now because I want to celebrate Jungle Fury.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll say, okay, I wanted to briefly talk about the action scenes, but before we wrap up, like, I want to wrap up the plot, whole thing. The problem, like, I think some of the issues with some of the, like, when it comes to, I think the perfect one is the story with how they get their power-up modes, the Jungle Master modes in this case.
Oh, God.
Whoops, sorry, I accidentally muted myself there. So we're funnily enough, we're actually going to be reviewing that 3-parter in the next batch of Gekiranger episodes. It's great in Gekiranger. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
Done
Yeah.
so much better.
In
It's done
Jungle
so much
Fury,
better.
I like what they're trying to do, but they execute it in the worst possible way. Like, they go there and they have to face their fears, but it's not some big character study. Like, oh, Casey was afraid of this monster in his closet. He's got to face that. Lily is afraid of spiders, and Theo's is actually a little bit of an in-depth thing because he's worried about embarrassing himself. And then what's even worse is that like they're in the spirit world, and it's like you can never leave, but we have to go fight Daishi. Oh, okay, you can go. Like
Okay,
that's literally how
so
that scene goes.
so I'm gonna go like on a quick tangent here about this because this feels like the right time for me to talk more about the writer's strike. This is the point in the season where the writer's strike really impacted the story, in my opinion. This stuff over here you're talking about, the entire Dom entry to the season, that's all been impacted by the writer's strike, in my opinion. Because Dom's entrance to Jungle Fury is really bad. Like,
It came out
it's
of
not
nowhere.
it's not bad, like I don't want to say it's terrible, like in a bad way, like, oh, I don't like it. It just it was boring. And it didn't carry any of the gravitas that you would expect from the well, okay, in this case the fifth ranger, but the sixth ranger for all intents and purposes, right? Like he is the sixth ranger of the season. But
Yeah.
he had like he had no like there was no callous explosions of like yippee, we have our sixth ranger. There's like no importance to him. He pops up, he's kind of a jerk, and he wants to join the team because he feels like that's his calling in life. The team says no, then Casey realizes that he's not that bad, and that's basically his story arc, minus the one time where he falls for Lily's character, and yeah, like, okay, cool, you fell for her, but nothing really comes out of it except for like him and Fran getting together later. Like they don't give him anything to do. He's not even like he's not even exploited in the way like Tommy was or like Zane, where when you see the Sixth Ranger appear on the field, you know shit's about to go down.
Yeah.
Like he's just another Ranger. Like there's no specialness given to him that makes him stand out.
And trust me, the show tried its best to make it seem like he was, but he's not.
Well, no, they didn't. They didn't even try.
I mean, the whole thing with the whole like him trying to get that his Rhinosaur or whatever,
I
the
mean, okay,
Nexus thing.
that would have been fine if they had given it like one more episode.
Right.
And they pull this right out of nowhere in the penultimate episode where he was apparently Jared's roommate in their
Yeah.
I
early
mean, where'd that
years.
come from? Like, where'd that come from?
Well, okay.
You've seen
So-
Jared before. Why are you only just now mentioning this?
No. He mentions it earlier on, very subtly, because they have a sense of familiarity in an earlier fight scene when Jared sees Dom. Like they acknowledge each other, they know, that they're
Yeah.
fighting against each other. But yeah, no, they could have dug in there and like had Dom and Jared have like some more interactions and Dom feeling more remorse for what's happening, but Dom doesn't feel anything for him. It's like, oh cool, my former roommate from school is the big bad. Okay,
He's
cool.
evil
Hey
now.
friend, how's it going? Literally, that's what happens here.
Yeah.
Like I said, Riz, wait until you start watching more Gekiranger. You'd be like, wow, they actually handled the whole they use something similar to that in Gekiranger, but I can't tell you how or who because
That's fine.
But like I said, it's done way better.
That's fine. I mean, I will wait and see. But no, I think the Dom's entry into the franchise was poorly done. The Rhino Zord quest was not that great. But I attribute all of that to the writer's strike. Because I
Yeah.
have full confidence that if the writer's strike had not happened, these little things that I'm complaining about would not even be a complaint. Like,
Yeah.
I will make a bold statement here that you will both cancel me for. Had the writer's strike not happened, I think this had potential to be better than Time Force and In Space.
Oh wow.
Oh, I think that too.
I
You know
firmly
what?
believe if they had maybe 5 more episodes and no writer's strike, Jungle Fury could have been the best Ranger season of all time.
I don't
Yeah,
think it
because
would have been necessarily just because of the writer's strike, just because this is Bruce Kalish, and Bruce Kalish doesn't care as much about quality, but I agree that it would have had the potential.
I mean, okay, so Callus didn't care about quality historically. I'm looking at you, Overdrive, but uh, but he did something right here. He magically got hit on the head. He found a good path, and he grew into being a good force for this franchise at the end. Like
and they
you
also
can't take that from him. Like everyone, like Power Rangers is all about growing up. Like you see that with almost every season that they have to overcome some obstacle, they have to do something. I give Callus the same courtesy of, hey, we get it, you didn't have good quality in the past, but you finally figured it out. Go ahead, Anthony.
I was gonna say was that you notice it like for Jungle Fury, it took them a while to get another Ranger into the group with RJ because like they took their time with just giving us the 3 Rangers. They didn't do like how they did with other seasons of Power Rangers where they gave us like a new Ranger like every that 4th or 5th episode or like the um 11th episode with Trent from Down Thunder. They took their time. Jungle Fury took this
Well,
time to give us more Rangers, and I appreciate that.
I think the thing here is the time and dedication they gave RJ, like where he was not a ranger, but he was a mentor, he was a main character, he was around. Trent had a lot of that too prior to being the white evil ranger, in my
I mean,
opinion.
yeah, but not as well as like RJ did, because like
Oh no,
I
no,
mean, yeah,
not at
sure,
all.
I
Yeah,
do I do appreciate the fact that they did take their time with introducing Trent before he became the Ranger too. But like I said, he didn't become a Ranger till like episode 11 or 12, I think, of Down Thunder. But
11. Yeah,
In Jungle Fury, RJ doesn't become a Ranger till like episode 15 or 16.
and I mean
I think I think 16.
this is
I think episode
eons
16.
this is eons better than Kia Ranger, which I know you've seen, Anthony, but you haven't, Nathan. But dear God, they really, really rushed things a lot.
I told you. What did I say? I try to tell people that they rushed through all the Rangers. Like they gave us too many Rangers too soon, and like
I'm on episode 8 or 9 right now, and we already have our sixth Ranger, quote unquote. Like we have 9 Rangers, and now we have 10 in the span
yeah,
of like 8 episodes. And some of the Rangers we already had haven't even had a focus episode yet. Like, that's not the way I want to see a Sentai or a Ranger season go. And yeah, my point for bringing it up is I'm glad they didn't do something like that for Jungle Fury.
Yeah.
thank God, because like I said, like Riz just said, it took him like what maybe 3 or 4 episodes to get all 9 of them, but then like after episode 8 you get 10. It's like it's gonna be in for like, at least for a while until like they introduce the last member, which is like which you won't see until like later, but I forgot how late it is, but
That's fine.
it's
I'll
still
tell you when I
bad.
get there. Because
Okay,
I'm working through that right now as a side thing because it sounded interesting.
good luck.
It's very lucky.
Ugh,
To kind of
God.
jump into a different subject, I think we've talked about our thoughts on the plot and writing of story
Yeah.
overall. let's talk more about characters. We can talk about the villains a little bit. I don't want to talk too much about like the side villains, like the overlords, Carnosaur, Jellica, and Grisaka. They're not. They're just.
Can we
They're
knock
just
out the
people.
Phantom Beast and Overlords real quick and move on to the important things after?
Yeah. I do want to say that like the three overlords, their characters in Gekiranger are much better. I can't go into much spoiler territory. I don't remember anything that any of them did.
In
And
Single Fury?
yeah, they don't even give Jellica a great, like, at least Carnosaur and Grisaka get defeated by in like epic Megazord battles. Like Jellica,
Mm.
it's like she releases the Phantom Beasts, they like kill her like in the middle of an episode just unceremoniously, and then that's it. Like
Well,
she's been the villain for like 10 episodes, and that's how you
I
send her off.
think I was okay. Wasn't Jellica the one that was defeated by Camille? I was okay with that, honestly. Like, I didn't mind that. Because not every general of the enemy forces has to be defeated by a Megazord. I think it's nice to see every
All the
now.
Rangers.
I think it's nice to see sometimes internal fighting with the villains, or a one-on-one sword fight with maybe one of the Rangers and the villain, and it ends in a callous explosion where the villain dies. I'm okay with that.
I'm
Yeah.
cool with her not being defeated by a Megazord. My issue is that, like, at least have her be killed by Camille or Jared in some big epic one-on-one battle, not just have her be unceremoniously killed by the Phantom Beast. Like, she doesn't even get to say anything. Like,
I mean, yeah,
um,
I don't mind it as much as you do, I think, though.
but the three overlords in general, like, I mean, first of all, I don't even okay. They kind of fill the role that their Sentai counterparts do, except they don't because okay, they're called the Fist Demons in Gekiranger, and let's just say that they play a big part in like the myth. Well, okay, first of all, and Riz can probably figure this out based on what he's seen of Gekiranger so far. Rio brings them because he's trying to train to become stronger, so
Yeah,
he wants to get training from each of those people to get stronger.
and
I
I
don't think
mean,
that's a spoiler. I think
and
Riz
that's
can
what
infer
Zara does
that.
too.
Yeah, but it's Dai Shi who's getting the training. Why does
Yeah,
Dai Shi need training from these people when he
I
was
think
their boss?
I think the answer here is Dicey was defeated years ago and sealed away, and when he came back and inhabited Jared's body, he lost some of his power along the way.
Okay, I can buy that. I don't know.
I
I feel like
I think he lost some of his power and he was not full strength. Even at the end, I don't think he was full strength. Not like he was prior to being sealed away.
yeah, but
So
I just think the Fist Demons are better characters, but I can't go into more detail.
That's
I'm
fine.
sure Anthony
can
will
can
agree with me.
Can, yeah, but can we like just talk about this one thing? So like I'm basically on the episode now where I'm like watching the marathon of Jungle Fury. It's on the episode where Casey meets that kid who takes his money and like while Jared slash Daishi is getting training from the Sky Overlord Carnosaur.
Yeah.
And it's a weird one where like he's taking him back in time and he's like, oh, I did this when I was a good person. And he's like, no, you didn't. Like, yes, I did. No, you're evil now. Like, how does that work? Like, he can't. Like, I don't think he should time travel per se, but maybe he twisted his mind
Wasn't
to
it
make
just
him
wasn't
evil. But it doesn't make
flashbacks?
sense.
Those are flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That wasn't time travel.
yeah.
That was just flashbacks.
But it felt like were they trying like to make it seem like he didn't do all those things, or was it just like he was? Or was it just Consort
It's
just
This
confusing.
manipulating
this is a
his
Jekyll and
mind?
Hyde case where Dicey is Dr. Hyde. No, Jekyll and Jared is Dr. Hyde, and Dicey is trying to take control of Jared completely, but the good in Jared, what little we knew that would be there, he's trying to resist. And I think Dicey's trying to erase the idea of what Zera did in the past from his memory to make it easier to control him.
Yeah.
That's my take on it anyway.
Yeah.
But what about with the Phantom Beasts? I mean, the Overlords are just boring, but I think the Phantom Beasts are also just a case where the Sentai is better. I can't give much like. Okay, I don't remember.
I will definitely agree with you on this one, Nate, because the Japanese version of these characters were definitely done way better.
I don't remember.
Well, so
I don't
what
remember Snapper doing anything. And to be fair, I don't remember Snapper's counterpart in Gekiranger doing much of anything either.
No, he didn't do much.
Weiger is horribly watered down compared to a Sentai counterpart. Like it's not even.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to say, and I can't talk about it that much because without giving spoilers. But let's just say that like Weiger, his counterpart is great, and Scorch, Scorch compared to his Sentai counterpart. That's well, I can't go into detail because Riz is in here and he can't hear the spoilers. But
Right.
let's just say that Scorch versus his counterpart, like
Bloodbath?
no, yeah,
Bloodbath.
Okay.
It's a massacre. It's a massacre.
Okay. So I will say this. Going back to Jungle Fury, no Gekiranger analysis here, because we'll do that later. The Overlords and the Phantom Beast were fine villains in that they provided a decent threat to our Rangers. But honestly, I watched Jungle Fury 2.5 weeks ago, right before Christmas. And I struggle to remember anything useful about these guys 2.5 weeks later. Like, none of the generals were really that fascinating to keep my attention and make me be like, oh, this is another Eclipturd. Oh, this is another, Deviant from Lost Galaxy or something. These guys had no personality, really. I mean, they had personality, but it wasn't interesting, at least not to me.
Maybe the early Zordon era kind of spoiled us for like giving us good villains back in the day, and like now we're just like, nothing can really compare to those.
No, I mean there's some good villains that came later. Like,
Yeah.
I think Grum's a great villain. I think Mezagog's a great villain. And
Mezog's an amazing villain.
I think Zeltrax did a really good job being a villain too. I don't know how he is an Abba Ranger, but you know.
he is complicated in Abba Ranger.
He is very complicated.
But the point is, we've had good stuff since the Zordon era. But if you want to ask my honest opinion on the faults that Jungle Fury has, it's the generals in Jungle Fury and the Dom storyline that are the biggest hits, in my opinion, to Jungle Fury.
But with the main villains, because these are obviously the villains that Jungle Fury wants us to care about the most.
Yeah.
Jared and Camille. I mean, those are the main course. We just finished the appetizer, so let's get to the main course.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Jared. I want to like Jared because Jared is a good villain. I don't want to understate that. I like Jared, but here's my problems with him. So I like what they do. He was a jerk who was like he was bullied as a kid. He had a really rough upbringing, and that turned him into a jerk. And then that leads to him getting involved in something bad where, he gets possessed by an evil spirit. And when he's shown the face of like somebody who's way worse than he ever was, it causes him to realize how big of a jerk he is. But the problem I have with it is that there's no mental structure. Okay, so Rio is easily a better character because Rio is doing all of this out of his own free will. It's Rio, just straight up Rio. Jared is possessed by Daishi most of the time, and I wish there was more mental struggle between like, is it Daishi or Jared? Like, could we get like at
Yeah.
least a couple of scenes every once in a while where like I don't know, like I mean, okay, maybe like with Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, with Merrick, how he starts off as a jerk, but then he gets taken over by his evil Yami Merrick side, and then we see struggles with him. Like, okay, I'm using Yu-Gi-Oh as an example, but like, it's this. I wish that Jared had more of a mental struggle, and that's what really pulls him
Yeah.
down. And I can't put him in my top. And I can't. Maybe I could put him in my top 10, but he's no Trakina or Astronema.
He's
For
no
sure.
Rancic.
Right.
I mean, I agree
No.
with you. He's not the best of the villains in the franchise, but I like the idea they were going for here with the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde approach. Um, I don't know Rio that well, so I'm not going to comment on him too much, except to say it's a very common thing to have a villain who is there because he is evil or she is evil. It's a very it's not as common to have somebody possessed by an ancient spirit and, you know, struggling to maintain control either way. Either the ancient spirit has control or the host has control. And I think that deserves the respect that they tried something different here, and maybe the writer's strike impacted us too, maybe it didn't. But I definitely agree that we needed more strife between the two. I mean, honestly, we probably needed some stuff throughout the season just showing more of Jared regaining consciousness of from Dicey and then Dicey reeling him back in. We got it a little bit here and there, but every now and then it just felt like it wasn't it wasn't all that much. I mean, there are parts I find when I'm watching it where you can tell around like episode 20 when the Phantom Beasts are more active than Dicey and they're doing stuff. You can kind of start to tell that Dicey and Jared are not happy with them, and you can kind of see Jared breaking out more and kind of showing this bit of remorse, but it's not very prominent.
And but I do want to give credit. I think his struggle in the finale is the thing that keeps me from. Is the one thing that makes me call him a decent villain, because like
Yeah.
I like the struggle he goes through in the finale where he's free of Daishi and they're trying to convince him to help them defeat Daishi, and you know they're trying to say like, Jared, you can do better, and then Jared was all like, really? I mean, I was a jerk before I got possessed by Daishi, so am I really that great of a person? Am I really worthy
No, and
of
that
doing all
part,
this? So I think that's a great struggle.
it's a great struggle, and that it's a great anti-hero struggle. That's not a great villain struggle at that point.
Yeah.
That's like Vegeta after he gets his ass kicked by the Saiyans, like Goku and them, and he starts to, help the good guys more, but he's still conflicted on, I want to be a bad guy, I want to be evil, but I'm not evil anymore. I'm a good guy.
Yep.
It's like that. It's just the anti-hero. But when he was Dicey prior, he was a villain, but the struggle while he was a villain did not really exist as much then. It definitely existed at the end, like you said, though, in the finale.
So like, could we put Jared in the top 10? I don't, top 5 definitely not, but
Okay, so top five in no order from me, because I'm just gonna rattle them off as I can think of them. Astronema, Trakina, Rancic, Lord Zed, Mesogog, Yeah, that would be my top 5.
What about you, Anthony, for top 5 villains?
Definitely Rancid. He's one of my top. Uh,
Yeah, Rancic is also in the top. Like, I'll demote somebody else.
Mesogog definitely. Um, Astronomer too, and well, of course, obviously Astronomer.
You better have Astronomer on the list, or we're not friends.
You know she's gonna be on the list. Come on now. I met the woman like.
Yeah, I still don't like you for that. Power Morphicon, I'm coming.
Oh well. Oh yeah.
Maybe she'll show up here in Atlanta.
Dude,
Actually, I know Trakina too. Trakina, and Lord Zed.
now, just a note on the Lord Zed part. This is Lord Zed prior to the wedding.
Correct.
Lord Zed after the wedding, he falls quite a bit, in my opinion. Damn soccer moms.
I would probably have those, everyone, like, I'm trying to think, could I put anyone there instead of Lord Zed? I think we can all agree that Rancic, Krakina, Mesogog, and
Astronomer.
Astronema are there. Um,
In the
yeah, I
place
think
of
that's
Lord
your.
Zed, if you don't want Lord Zed there, your next best option is probably Vinzix.
Yeah,
Vengix or Grum. Yeah.
maybe
Or
Vinci.
Grum.
I don't know. I don't like Grum as much, but that's just my personal
No,
take.
I don't hate him, but he's
He's not.
not into it.
He's not top 5 worthy.
I will say
Vinzix.
Oh
this.
no.
Vinzix could be, but I also don't think he's as good as Lord Zed.
Now, I will say this in relation to Jared. Jared slash Daishi is the best villain that Bruce Kalish ever wrote in his tenure.
That's
But
fair.
that's not saying much.
That is well, is it though? Because
Okay,
he had
like let's look.
he started SPD, right?
Okay, I mean Grum is just boring, and Broodwing is exactly like his Sentai counterpart. The best villain in Mystic Force is Korag, but he's just a carbon copy of his Sentai counterpart. And like I like the Fear Cats from Operation Overdrive, but even then they're just copies of the Questers from Bokindra. The only original villain that he does is Flurious, and Flurious is a horrible villain.
I did not like Flores at all.
Which one's
Spends
Flurious?
most of the series doing nothing and then whining about how he's accomplished nothing. And it is hard for me to be intimidated by him when he looks like the demented grandpa of Arnold Schwarzenegger's version of Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin.
Which one is Flurious?
Ice Dawn.
The ice one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I swear, he is related to Arnold Schwarzenegger's version of Mr. Freeze. He's his demented grandpa that's always shaking his fist at the clouds. Like,
I can see
that's
that.
literally who he is.
Yeah.
Oh, get you crazy kids!
What do we think of Camille, though?
Okay,
I like Camille.
I'm gonna say this. Camille is a great character. I like her devotion to Dicey. I like her devotion to Jared. I think she brought a good balance of chemistry for the villain side because she's there to serve Dicey, and she's not gonna be persuaded by the Overlords or the Phantom Beast or whatever to do what they want. She'll do what's in the best interest of Jared Dicey because that's her love interest. With all that said, I'm only 11 episodes in, but I think the Sentai counterpart is better.
Yeah.
Fair.
But not to say that
Because
Camille is
even
not great.
I agree with that. Even I agree with that.
Like, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say anything bad about Camille. Camille's a great character. I love her.
No.
But
Definitely not, yeah.
I think what's her name? Melee?
Yeah, Melee.
Melee.
I think Melee just did it better, and that has more to do with Camille has a devotion to Dicey, and Camille could have been Melee level good had the attraction and the romance that she felt for him been more prominent.
And then you also kind of notice that like the only reason Camille like is devoted to Daishi is only because she's his boss. And then like when she meets him again as Jared, she gets turned on immediately by him just by looking at him like,
Yeah.
oh Daishi, you have a nice body. That's basically what she said in layman's terms. Like
Yeah.
she said, oh, you have magnificent new look you have, but let's just be honest. She wanted him.
I mean, and that's fine. I'm not opposed to that.
No, me neither.
I just think that there is some stuff that could have been more emotionally charged with her.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you get a backstory of how how Rio and Melee meet. I'm not sure if we got to that point yet in the show in
we
the
did.
series. Okay, so yeah. So there's a reason behind her devotion.
Yeah. We could go into a brief thing. I do want to give at least one of these characters a shout out because I think she deserves it. Before we move on to the Rangers, because talking about the Ranger characters is going to take up the bulk of these character things. Let's briefly talk about the supporting characters. So we have two supporting characters mainly. First one, we have to talk about her. She's in the opening credits, Fran. And then we also have the Pai Zhua Masters. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to say that Fran might be my favorite supporting character. I don't want to say that she's better than Bulk and Skull, because, Bulk and Skull is a Bulk and Skull. But she's pretty damn close, in my opinion. Because, for starters, her actress is adorable. I love her actress. And let's be honest, she has social anxiety. If you say that you can't relate to Fran, you're lying to yourself.
Okay, so Fran is probably the best civilian ally next to Bulk and Skull. The owners in Bulk and Skull have a higher place on the list is because their tenure goes so far. And they've done so many different things to develop their characters, from being the high school bully to being the Ranger's greatest ally at the end of Countdown to Destruction. But Fran, dear God, I love Fran. Fran is like the sweetest character in the world, and I felt so bad for that poor baby. Every time the Rangers dipped out to go save the world, and she's left to run the entire parlor by herself. And she does it. She never once is like, I don't want to do this anymore, I quit. She's just like, well, I guess they're gone again, so it's up to me. Yay me. And she does it.
Yeah.
And I think that's admirable. And honestly, I just want to hug her. Just want to give her a big old hug.
Right. And mind you, like she doesn't even know that they were Rangers prior to all them leaving all of a sudden. But now, but since she now knows, she's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna help. I'm gonna like stick around and help out. So you guys saving the world or whatnot.
And once she becomes aware of their identities as Ranger, so RJ's mentor, but I make the case here that RJ's the Ranger mentor. I think Fran is more of the interpersonal mentor for their personal well-being and their interpersonal conflicts. Whenever stuff goes down, like when everyone's giving Dom a lot of crap about being there, she's the one that points out to them, did any of you really give him a chance, like a real chance? And that's what gets them thinking, oh wait, we didn't. And
I think that's the reason why she's great because she's a comic relief character, but she adds some stuff to the story. Because another thing you don't mention here is that she helps RJ get over the issues that he's having with like turning into a werewolf that helps him become a ranger. So
Yeah.
she does make contributions to the story, and
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
it's not
And
just
there's
that,
also an
but
episode where Lily becomes, I guess, a bad girl.
oh, I love
Oh,
that.
I love that episode.
Oh yeah, that was a good episode. Yeah,
That
where
little
she
rant
literally confronted Lily while she was being bad, and it was.
when she goes on against Lily is so badass. I love that. And I love how she takes Lily's morpher and
I
says
can't
that
hear
she'll
anything
fight.
you're saying right now.
Oh, you
Testing,
can't?
testing, 1, 2, 3. Do you hear us now?
Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties here.
Anthony, you good?
And that to me, that's badass. Like she's not scared to fight.
Hey, Anthony, do you hear us now?
Hmm?
Do you hear us now?
I hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
No
I
idea what
thought
just
you were
happened there,
lagging for a
but
second.
yeah.
No, but like I said, like she was willing to take Lily's morpher and do it herself.
Yeah, and I thought that was badass. I honestly was praying that for one episode, Fran was the Yellow Ranger, just because I want to see Fran have that development. Because that'd be a great, like, confidence boost to her character.
You know, comic relief characters aren't always necessarily inherently annoying. Like okay, you can make comic relief characters fine. Like, okay, the problem that I have with some comic relief characters is that they're just goofy because, like, okay, I hate Dax, but Dax is a bad character because there's no reason for him being goofy other than just we need a goofy ranger. Let's just make him goofy. Fran being a comic relief character, she's goofy because she's naturally goofy. She has a lot of social anxiety. Like, there are natural character traits with her. It feels natural with her. So I don't think so. She works, in my opinion.
I mean, okay, so Fran works on many different levels. She takes the role of life coach to the team.
Mm.
She takes the role of, like, supporting character to help when they need to go run off and do something. She's there to cover the store. And, you know, that's the only way the pizza parlor as a base works for them is because they have Fran. If they didn't have Fran, they couldn't run a pizza parlor on the side. Um, and like, yeah, you're right. There's some civilian allies that they do work. Fran is an excellent example. Bulk and Skull work really well for what they are. Um, Cassidy and Devin also work pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But then there's some characters that just I want to slap them.
Looking at
Look
what
at
are those
you,
guys?
Ninja Steel, Victor and Monty.
What are their names in Beast Morphers? Ben and Betty.
Ben and Betty were not as bad as Victor and Monty.
I know, I know. Anthony, did you want to add anything about Fran?
Well, she's just badass. That's all I can really say.
Would you say that she's on par with like Bulk and Skull as a supporting character?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the Pai Zhua Masters as characters? Because, I mean, some of them are good. Like, I think Master Finn, I think, is the best because he has his whole relationship with RJ because they're father and son. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
those three from the spirit world, you only see them in 2 episodes.
The Spirit World Masters are not worth talking about. They're just kind of
No.
there.
They're not. They're
But
not.
but of the Spirit Ranger Masters, I definitely think Master Finn's the best. I also just think Master Swoop is awesome.
Oh, Master Swoop. He might be my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
He is
Oh
awesome.
yeah, I like him too.
He has a very Keanu Reeves Matrix type of vibe going for him, which I love.
That's kind of funny because like I was watching this this guy on YouTube and he literally said, "Oh, Mr. Anderson," when he was like watching his introduction to Master Swoop.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, so he is like Neo, not like Neo from the Matrix."
I can't remember what Master Swoop Sentai counterpart is, but we'll find out in the next Gekiranger video. I do remember what I like Sharky Chan. I wouldn't say that
I
he's
do
better
too.
than I think Sharky Chan was cool, but I mean Master Finn is also great. Those two characters are great in their own right. We've already seen the elephant, and Master Finn
Mhm.
is better than the elephant. Thank God they didn't make him into Master Roshi.
Oh my
Oh, that
god.
would have been terrible.
That's literally what the elephant dude is in Gekiranger. He's Master Roshi.
Basically.
Except except he's worse because he's got a big trunk on his face, so he's able to. I don't want. I
We'll
can't say
leave that for
anything
the
else. I don't want.
Gekiranger review. Let's move on from that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please, yeah.
Master Mao. Do we want to say anything with him?
He's okay. I mean, I like his scene at the end where he is telling Casey to not go after Jared. Um, he's also like I think he's the second or third person up until this point to have died in Power Rangers. Like
Yep.
one of the good
Yes.
guys. Kendricks died, but he came back to life. Master Mao died, and he came back as an ethereal, spirity thing. So
Kind of like
One with the
kind of
Force.
like a Jedi.
yeah. Look,
Okay, let's go ahead.
I was gonna say, look, this is basically the closest we're gonna get to Power Rangers Jedi Force.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the things that we always look for. The most important part of Power Rangers, the Power Rangers characters. We're going to go one by one. We don't have to talk about the Spirit Rangers because they're not actual Ranger characters. So we're only going to talk about five. Which, for the record, I think having only five Rangers, and especially only having three for like half the series, works more to Jungle Fury's advantage because with less Ranger characters, you can give more focus to the five that you have.
And I think,
Say for one, but we'll get to him.
We'll,
and
we'll get to
I think one general rule here is let's judge these guys on their own merit and not on the Sentai counterpart. We'll
Yeah.
save that for the versus review we do later.
Although I just want to get this out of the way. The main three, all three of them are better than their Sentai counterparts, but that's
We
besides the
will
point.
we will delve into that when we get there. I want to
Yeah.
give something of a surprise for the listeners back home when we get to that podcast.
Uh, Anybody want to open up with Casey?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, my holy trinity of PR seasons has recently changed to have Jungle Fury in that holy trinity. Now, much like that holy trinity, um, the holy trinity of Reds I had prior was Andros, West, and Carter. I'm sorry, Anthony, but Carter has been booted out of the Holy Trinity,
Wow.
and Casey has moved in.
The disrespect. No, but I understand though.
Casey
I understand. I don't know if I agree with that, but I understand.
Yeah.
Casey demonstrates all the qualities of a red that you want. And he has the advantage over the experience of Andros because Andros is a veteran ranger by the time he got to the events in space. But here, Casey is literally, as they call him, a cub. He is very new to the higher level Pai Zhua fighting techniques. He is very new to the martial arts that underlie what he does. And
Mm-hmm.
he has to work really hard to gain the respect of his team and his mentor. And to do that, he has to work extremely hard and take all the indignities from RJ's training, including fixing his sofa and mopping the floor and all that. But he does it. And through the season, he grows to be on par with Lily and Theo in terms of their fighting skills. And I think the strongest point of Casey as a character development was when he wasn't granted the rank of master with Theo and Lily, and he had to go on his own character journey to figure out what they were looking for that he wasn't doing, and that gave us, in my opinion, one of the best choreographed fight scenes in the franchise.
Yeah.
So I have nothing but respect and admiration for Casey as a character. Sorry, Carter. You've been put into the top 5.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I'd put Casey ahead of Carter.
No.
I'm completely sympathetic with what you have to say. I just think, I mean, okay, Carter is a style guy. Casey is more substance. So
Okay, so Carter is like a Captain America type of character to me. He's the all-around American hero. He stands up for what's right. But what you get at the beginning with Carter is basically what you get at the end with Carter. He doesn't grow. He doesn't have to adapt. He doesn't have to change who he is. He doesn't have to do anything to really gain the trust of his team. He starts out as this great character, and he ends as a great character. But Casey has to go through a journey, and that journey is a difficult journey. It's not an easy thing to do.
And I think, I'm going to go into more detail when I do my Bruce Cowish video. But Bruce, I don't know if any of you guys noticed this, but every Red Ranger from Bruce Cowish's season has the same rookie red guy in unfamiliar territory. Because Jack was a criminal, then he became a cop, SPD. Nick was the new guy in Briarwood, didn't know anybody, and then he became a ranger. Max
Was Pinocchio.
didn't really. Yeah, okay, whatever.
We don't talk about that.
Nothing was. I think Casey is the best out of those 5. First of all, Casey is a huge reason why I'm now considering putting Jungle Fury ahead of SPD, because I think Casey is a much better Red Ranger than Jack. I think. What, you don't think so, Anthony?
I mean, it's kind of hard because I like both these characters for different reasons. I just don't feel like one is better than the other one, in my personal opinion. So,
and that's fair.
But I think with Casey, like, he's someone that we can all relate to because because it's not just a matter of him not being, just being the new guy. He also lacks self-confidence, and he is afraid that he's not good enough. But we really see how he's damn good. I mean, he's the first one that unlocks Jungle Master mode.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Which, thank God, the series doesn't spoon feed that to us, and that's more subtle character development.
Looking at you, of course, go say.
Yeah. But yeah, KC definitely props this up for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you put him in your top 5 at least, Anthony?
I would.
Okay. The only other thing I'm going to say is that, Barkeep, the Onyx Tavern podcast, which, for the record, in the unlikely event that he's watching this, I know that he has to take care of his baby girl now, but Barkeep, I love you, man, but why did you... you said that you think that Casey is one of the top 5 worst Red Rangers. Like...
Why?
Could you post that video again? It got taken off of YouTube. We want to hear your logic. Could you post that video again, please?
I want to know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
I actually know a YouTuber by the name of ASD Classified. He said he hates Jungle Fury. He does not like the show and like the characters, like any of it. Like he hates it. Like I can find a video, find a link to the video that he posted about that, and it's like, wow, he just does not like the season at all. Like,
Interesting.
We can move on to a yellow Lily, who is objectively and factually the greatest Yellow Ranger of all time. You can and you know what? Anybody who wants to challenge me on that, come at me. I will debunk every single argument that you have to make. Lily is the best Yellow Ranger. And
I will agree with you here on a technical, and if you're putting a grade on it, yes. If you're going to ask me for the best Yellow Ranger in the Riz world, that belongs to Zia Moran.
okay, of course.
I'm just saying, man. I'm loyal.
I know. Um,
But no,
But-
Lily is an amazing Yellow Ranger, and I think she
Oh, yeah.
is the best Yellow we've had.
like when it comes to the quality of Yellow Ranger characters, it's Lily, Kira, and
Rose.
honestly, huh?
RPM.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, Summer.
Summer.
Yeah.
Summer. I'm thinking of her actress name, Rose. Okay, never mind. Carry on.
No, but I just think that like first of all, Anna Hutchinson is a great actress. I think she acted the role really great. And I don't know. In a lot of ways, watching the series over again for this little review section, she's a lot like Izzy with from Dino Fury. Where okay, I think of the main three, she doesn't have a character arc. She probably gets the least development out of the main three. I mean, we do get some great character episodes, like that episode where Camille turns into like a regular human, and then Lily thinks that like she's too weak because she got screwed by Camille easily, which is a great episode. But I just think in general she just gives good vibes. Like she is someone who I would genuinely want to be friends with.
Okay, so
If I
here's
knew
here's the thing about Lily. Lily. Okay, so let's talk about, and I'm probably gonna do this in every review where we talk about like the characters of the Rangers, just as a reminder to the audience. So bear with me a minute. The trope we're following for Yellow Rangers up until now has been tomboy, like Trini and Maya or
Yeah.
Katie, for example. They're all more tomboyish, right? They're not girly girl. They're not more feminine. The thing about Lily, though, is she is a tomboy in that she's able to hang with the guys. She can take a hit. But the thing that's unique about her is she also is able to demonstrate her feminine side in a really cool way with her dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a trait more commonly known to be given to the Pink Ranger. And I think it's cool that the writers found a way to handle not having a second female on the team by letting Lily represent both tropes that you are used to seeing in this kind of thing. So I applaud them for that, first of all. Second of all, I just think Lily is a fantastic Yellow because her personality is so great. She's friendly, she's caring, she's a badass. I mean, she learned to use that big ass axe really quick from the Master Fant.
Mm-hmm.
And she can go head to head and she beat him in her master fight. Like, she can take a hit and she can give it back real good.
Oh yeah.
I would say she's probably the best female character out of any of Bruce Cavish's Rangers too, because okay, I really hate to say this, but Bruce Cavish's teams all have the same. With Jungle Fury, it doesn't fit nearly as perfectly because Jungle Fury only has like a 3-man core team, so it can't fit perfectly in. Unlike SPD, Mystic Force, and Operation Overdrive, who all had 5 Rangers as part of the core team. Like there's the tomboy and the girly girl. Like for SPD, the tomboy is Z, the girly girl is Sid. In Mystic Force. The tomboy is Vita. The girly girl is Madison. Okay, I don't know how I could fit that with Operation Overdrive. I guess you could say Ronnie's the tomboy and Rose is the girly girl. Like,
Well, okay, so the Pink Ranger trope has two different ways you can go with it. So if you look back, Kimberly, Kat, Cassie are all really feminine characters, right? But Kendrix is more bookwormy. Alyssa from Wild Force is more bookwormy. So Rose fits that archetype more of being bookwormy.
yeah. But I think Lily is more unique because like Bruce Cowich wanted to put in both character archetypes within her, and it
Exactly.
works perfectly in my opinion.
Look, it's like you said earlier, Nate. I want to be best friends with Lily.
Same.
Hell, I want to be best friends with the main three. You know, like they're all fantastic characters in my opinion. And RJ. I want RJ to be my master.
Yes, definitely.
We'll get to RJ in a second. Anthony, just really quick, Riz and I have already kind of said where Lily ranks within our yellows. Where would you put her with yours?
You know, I haven't really thought about my top 5 yellows. Like, like I don't really. But she's definitely up there though.
I think
I
the
just, need, I just
only
need to figure out where to rank her at though, because I'm like,
I
the
mean,
only yellow I think that could reasonably give her a challenge is Kira, in my opinion.
agreed. Kira can give
yeah,
her good challenge.
yeah, hmm
Mm,
And that's mostly because Kira has a bit of an arc going,
yeah,
yes,
even if it's subtle. Um, do we want to move on to Theo now, guys?
yeah.
yeah.
Um, okay. I don't think Theo is number one. I still think Sky is the best Blue Ranger. I think Sky is a little bit better. Um, okay, first of all, okay, I want to get this out of the way. It is really distracting how Theo's actor is shorter than both Casey and Lily, even though he suddenly becomes taller than Lily when they morph. That's always really annoying.
He's following in his predecessors with Justin.
It's like how in Power Rangers in Space, TJ is the biggest and most like compared to Carlos and Zane. No, Carlos and Andros. He's really big and athletic. He's like the most muscular, but unfortunately, Mega Blue is smaller and scrawnier compared to Mega Black and Mega Red. So TJ shrinks when he morphs. Um, and same thing, Lucas is taller than Wes, even though Time Blue was shorter than Time Red. So, yeah. But
So,
I think it's the worst case with Theo. But that's just a technical thing. It's somewhat distracting, but you know what? Whatever. I can overlook it in the same way I can overlook Justin getting taller when he becomes a Ranger.
you know,
Um,
I don't notice that problem with the Rangers you mentioned. Like, I don't ever think, oh, well, this guy is shorter here than he is when he's morphed or whatever. Like,
right.
it never
yeah,
occurs to me when I'm watching. I'm more into, hell yeah, he morphed. Good on him.
I know. Um, I think so. Theo is weird because I think okay. Actually, no, we're not comparing them to Sentai. I guess when I look at Theo by himself, okay, there's one episode devoted to Theo that might be one of my least favorite episodes of a series, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I think in general, I think with Theo, I think Theo has like the deepest character where, he comes off as like really confident and like no nonsense and everything, but he is actually another person that you can relate to, just like Casey, because we get an episode where he has a twin brother that's like a superstar
hmm
that everyone loved, and like he was constantly being compared to that person. So, you know, he he's lived a pretty tough life, in my opinion. So, I know a lot of people that think that Theo is a jerk and they don't like him, but when you have a brother that's constantly overshadowing you, like can you blame him for being at least a little bit of a jerk?
No, I think it's
See,
okay.
you see, before I even like knew about that stuff about his brother, I did kind of think he was kind of a jerk. That's only because like my first introduction with him was like, oh, he's just treating cases like he doesn't know anything. It's like, dude, he's still new. Like, at least help him train. But now that I'm like watched the episodes and I've seen him how he progresses, now I know like, okay, he's all right now. But he's not my favorite. That's the one thing I will. I know y'all will be like, why is he not your favorite? He just, I don't know.
No,
He just really didn't really appeal to me like the other two did.
no.
Well, other three.
Theo is the weakest of the three by far, but
But he's still better than
but still, even when he's the
Dom.
weakest of the three, I would say I don't have a ranking in my blues, Nate, but
Me
at the
neither.
very least, I would say top 10.
I don't think I don't think he's anywhere close to being on par. Okay, I think the top two blue, at least the top two Blue Rangers should be Billy and Sky.
Billy,
Um,
Sky, Coda,
yeah, I
and
wouldn't put. I don't think Theo is anywhere near Sky or Billy's level.
no. But Theo is still much better than some other blues we've had. Looking at you, Madison. Looking at you, uh, crap. What's his name? Kevin.
Right.
Looking at you,
Yeah,
Kevin.
we don't talk about him.
So I mean, look, he's not the worst blue. He's
Yeah.
not. He's not. He's not the most mediocre either. He's at the top of the mediocre list, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I do
Would you?
like his characterization quite a bit. Like, he starts off super confident, he starts off really cocky, but through the season, he learns a lot of humility, and I like that a lot.
Um, did you want to add anything, Anthony? Because I have nothing else to add.
I'm not sad either.
Okay.
Because like I said, he's not my favorite, so I can't really say.
Okay, let's move on to the show stealer, RJ.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the best mentor of all time. Got it.
Facts.
Okay, because let me just say this. Okay, RJ is the best mentor of all time because with all these other Power Ranger seasons, you always have these people who they talk in this very mystical this type of voice, and they give like these really long write out sentences, like that really cringe sentence that Kanoi says in Industrom, like, remember, a conclusion is only the place where you got tired of thinking. Like, you're trying to make them sound like you're trying to make them sound like Yoda. You do not have to make some dude dress up in robes and talk like Yoda
We're
to
looking
be
at you,
wise.
Delphine.
Exactly. What you mean
Yeah.
Udana?
No, I'm talking about Delphine. Not Delphine, Dimitri.
Right.
Oh yeah, the
From
question
Turbo.
the oh, I hated her.
RJ, like, he's a surfer dude, which a hippie surfer dude, but he's not a moron. And what I like about him is that he's a genuinely wise person. He just has a very laid back, you know, you have the Mr. Miyagi, you have the Mr. Miyagi way on how he trains Casey in that episode of Sai of the Tiger.
Yeah.
But there's also ways where he like how he helps Casey get his master stripes. We're saying that, like, Casey, I've taught you everything I know. How you use that knowledge, that's up to you. Like,
Yeah, that's a beautiful line to me.
I would not really call RJ a surfer dude. He's more like a cool
not.
hippie, than my personal opinion.
He-
That's how I
He's
envision
more.
him.
The best way to describe RJ is that tree hugging hippie from California who likes to eat granola on the weekends.
Bingo. That's exactly what he is.
And I mean, look, it works for him because
Yeah.
he has that Mr. Miyagi trait. I mean, look, for Christ's sake, he made Casey go wash the floors, and he made him go fix the sofa, and all this other stuff. And at the time, Casey's like, why am I doing all this menial labor? What's the point? Only to find out later, oh, hey, I learned different fighting techniques from doing this. Thanks,
Mm-hmm.
RJ, you did something great for me.
And I think another subtle one, it's the episode that takes place immediately after he becomes a ranger. It's an episode where Casey feels like RJ is undermining him because he's a ranger now,
Mm-hmm.
but Casey's the leader. Like, I love how okay, it's subtle, but I love how in the climax of that is that RJ is he's talking down with Casey's level. Like instead of being like, Casey, like what is your problem, Casey, or something like that. He's down playing basketball with Casey and just being like, hey man, come on, like
Let's
I'm
talk
not
about it
just your
bro to
mentor,
bro.
I'm your friend, so
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah.
what's going on. Like he's not just the mentor, he's your friend. He's the friend, and he does a lot of other cool things. Like I love how in that one episode, same episode where he teaches Casey training through cleaning. There's a subplot there where a bunch of kids show up to the pizza parlor, and Lily and Theo leave Fran to deal with it. And RJ decides, "Aw, poor Fran. You had to deal with all this by yourself. So here's the thing, Lily, you and Theo are going to clean all this up because you didn't help Fran. And Fran, you're going to come with me. We're going to go get ice cream."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was him, and it was him and Casey, Casey, and
Yeah,
her
Casey went
doing
Okay,
ice
too.
yeah,
cream.
yeah, yeah. But hey, so he's a cool dude. He looks out. He's also a nice boss.
Yes, I would definitely work. I would never complain if I ever had RJ my boss.
Oh no, art is amazing. And a lot of people will probably come back and say, well, Kruger's a great mentor. I've heard people say Dr. Oliver is one of the best mentors of all time. But I just think Kruger is a great mentor. I think he did a great job with SPD, but he was trained to lead the SPD team. Like he went
Yeah,
through all the stuff, and he is really rigid, and you expect him to be great. But RJ, like I said, he's a granola-loving tree hugger. You don't
Yeah.
expect him to be this great Pai Zhua Master. You don't expect him to have these abilities, but he does, and he uses them really well.
Now it's hard to rank RJ among other Rangers because there's only one other Purple Ranger in Power Rangers. That's Kindle from Dino Charge.
mm,
Now, if you want to try and rate him somehow, you can rate him as a mentor turned ranger because you have four of those:
yes,
What Kruger, Tommy, and
Kruger,
Udana?
Tommy, Adana, and Mick.
yes,
I would probably okay. Maybe he would be second best to Tommy just because I think Tommy was at his strongest as a character when he was black. But even then, I don't think that's fair because I still like. Okay, I'm gonna say this: RJ is in my top 10 favorite Rangers of all time. Like if I take color out of the picture and I'm just bringing up Rangers in general, RJ is in my top 10.
Yeah.
So
same.
so I so I think it's unfair to even compare him to that. But in general, like I just think RJ should be a top 10 Ranger of all time.
He is, and he's
There's
definitely top 10 ranger. To go back to your point about Dr. Oliver as a mentor being better than him, I I agree and I don't agree. I think Tommy brings a ton of experience to the table, and we'll touch on this a lot more when we do Donna Thunder and Aber Ranger. But Tommy's fault as a mentor was he didn't. In some cases, he didn't really explain a lot of the past and the science behind his inventions that led to all this stuff. And he, at some points, I feel like he was more reactive than he was proactive in what he did. Um, Kruger had a plan for the most part. Tommy was more reacting because that's how he was as a ranger. But RJ, I just think he did a great job trying to teach the team how to work together. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Same here.
And just one other thing, I really hate to bring this up because I respect this reviewer, but Easy Rider Toku Time, although he doesn't really do his show that much anymore, he did a top 10 sixth rangers, and he brought up Merrick, and he said like Merrick is an example of how great of a wolf ranger can be. It's a pity that RJ didn't take any advice from him. You take that back.
Dude, them fighting words here. You don't tell me
Yeah,
anything from Jungle Fury is better than anything in anything in Wild Force is better than Jungle Fury.
that's
Them
disrespectful
fighting
right there.
words.
Like
I
whoever
will.
said that needs to be
I
destroyed
will.
immediately.
I will invite whoever says that onto this podcast, and we're gonna have a talk.
I met him once actually. I met him at a Power Morphicon 2016.
Oh, what Austin?
So, huh?
Who's this again?
I saw a photo of that. I think.
Easy Rider Toku Time.
Oh, him. Right. He's a hit or miss. There's some things I did like about his reviews, some things I didn't like about his reviews. So
I don't want to badmouth the guy, but that opinion really rubbed me the wrong way. Okay, we can move on to the final ranger here. This is probably going to be a very short discussion.
do we have to?
Okay, let's be fair to Dom here. He's at a huge disadvantage because he is the one main character in this show that wasn't a main character from the start. Because, like, before he came in, everything was pretty neatly in place. Because, RJ became a ranger, but even before he was a ranger, he was there. He was their boss at Jungle Karma. He was their mentor. He was there. So Dominic comes in, and Dominic came in like episode 19. So there's like maybe 13 episodes left of the show. It's really unfair. And I don't want to badmouth him too much because his actor was a really nice guy.
No. Okay, so just throwing this out there.
I've met his actor, by the way. I already said.
Anytime that we are bashing a character, we're not bashing the actor. I'm certain the guy who played Dax, when you take him away from the Power Rangers character, is a great guy. I am positive of that. So I would never want to badmouth the actor because that just breeds unnecessary hatred of people who are just doing their job.
Right.
But then there are also some Power Ranger characters who are horrible characters and are portrayed by actors who aren't exactly the best people. Ashton.
Yeah, okay, we'll save that for later. But the point is, by and far, we don't want to give the image that we hate an actor. We want to give the impression that we don't like a character. And in the case of Dom,
Right.
I just don't think he was a good character because of the writer's strike and because he came in so late.
Mhm.
And I think
he and Fran were cute together, though.
Yes.
So-
that was the only thing that helped his character was
here-
the fact that he
here's
had a
something-
relationship friend.
you want to hear how I think we could have made Jungle Fury even better?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's erase Dom from the story. And let's introduce, around episode 17 or 18, Fran reveals to the team, hey, so I've been instructed by Master Mao years ago to keep an undercover identity to kind of monitor you guys, and then at the right time, I would make myself known as the White Rhino Ranger.
That'd be great. I mean, it
That'd
would
be great.
help. I mean, I always thought that the one problem I have with this team is the fact that there's like 8 Rangers, if you include the Spirit Rangers, and only one of them is female. So that would have been great.
Yeah.
No, I just think that would have been a stronger story because you had this character you would never expect to be this master of whatever. And, she could still be very ditzy, very dorky, but she's like the master of something like how RJ is.
Now I want to give Dom this. I think his Sentai counterpart, Geki Chopper, he might be one of my, like, I did a list of, like, the top 10 worst Sentai Rangers ever. Geki Chopper is in there. I don't like Geki Chopper at all.
I don't remember
So,
anything about him. That's the sad part. I remember
so
everybody else, but I don't remember him.
would I put Dom in my worst Rangers ever? Hell no. He's not that bad. I just, his problem is it's really unfair for him that he was brought in as late as he was. And the funny thing is, I actually asked Nikolai about that, and he actually said that, like, that was a struggle that he had when he played Dom, how, he wasn't really given much to work with because he came in so late. Um, but, uh, like, but on the other hand, also, like, he kind of fills in the role of being like a comic relief ranger. And I mean, I think some of his jokes were funny. Like, I mean, he makes me laugh sometimes, so he's funnier than Dax, at least.
I
Um,
mean, okay,
is that
that's a low bar to be comparing.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's not really accomplishment. Like, oh yeah, I'm funnier than the lamest Blue Ranger in all of Power Rangers.
And all of Tokusatsu.
But as far as like, okay, I don't know if we could call him the sixth ranger because Geki Chopper isn't considered a sixth ranger in by the Gokaiger standards.
Extra Ranger, but he doesn't have that qualification of six. If that makes sense.
But for like an extra ranger, I mean, he's just there. Like, I don't hate
Yeah.
him. He's not a character, but I actively want to strangle. But he's also not someone whom I mean, probably the most thing I remember about him is that I really like his suit. But we'll talk more about
Yeah.
the
Oh
suit.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the suit portion when we get to the Geki Chopper's debut and Gekiranger.
Okay.
Here's the last thing before we talk about like an overall grade. I want each of us to give our favorite episode of the show. Um, Anthony, you can go. Anthony, you're apparently literally watching a live stream of this series right now. So go ahead and tell. How about you go ahead and start?
I honestly like the Sign of the Tiger episode is my favorite because it actually shows that like Arthur's training, while it is unorthodox, it gets results, and he
Yep.
learns that like, oh yeah, like even if the training doesn't look like it's training, I still learn because of the method of how it was done. It gave me Mr. Miyagi feeling because like I've been watching a lot of Cobra Kai, so I love that freaking show. By the way, like
Yep.
if you like Karate Kid, if you like all the martial art movies that you've seen, you'll like this show. It's really good.
Okay. Riz.
My favorite episode is the penultimate, where Casey and Zared go at it. That is by far the best choreographed Ranger fight, and I think the entire franchise. The one I dislike the most would have to be the Calypso with the game show thing going on. I didn't really
Oh,
like that a lot.
don't drop that door or something like that. I was like, what is this?
I mean, okay,
Is that your least favorite episode too, Anthony?
Yeah, because it's unnecessary, and we could have used another episode for that one, but no, that
I
was
was
terrible.
gonna.
That's very.
And real quick, I'll let Riz say it real quick. I just wanted to get my favorite so we can move to the least favorite real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah.
As much as this is a cliche, I would say that the finale, now the Final Fury, is great because the funny thing is that even though it's a one-part finale, a lot happens in it. Like the main three Rangers defeat Scorch by themselves. Then Daishi revives all of his monsters, and then the Pai Zhua Masters show up for it. Like there's a bunch of battles, but it never felt rushed to me. Like the finale felt perfectly paced, and it was a nice change of pace because like while other finales like to like raise the prospect of there being like a big army, like apocalyptic end of the world stuff. They don't play that up with Jungle Fury, but the reason why it works is because the bulk of the finale is all about Jared coming to terms with like who he is and like, you know, deciding that he, you know, deciding what he wants to be. And I love the final scene. Like everything about the final scene is great. You know, we see Casey as a master. The way that Lily and Theo end up together is absolutely adorable. And I like how Dom and Fran end up together. So, as much as it's a cliche, I would say that the finale is my favorite, and I might say that no, never mind. I can't say it's better than the. Maybe it's a little bit better than the SPD finale, but okay, it's kind of complicated. That's okay. That's a huge debate in my head, but it's better than the Mystic Force and Operation Overdrive finales.
Well, okay, that's not hard
Yeah.
to do, but let me
It
kind of give
ain't.
my thoughts on the finale real quick. So, I liked the finale. It was well paced, but the thing that bugs me about the finale is how it ended, with them throwing the Hadouken at Dicey. Like all that build up, only for it to be coming down to a Hadouken at the end. It just felt. I would say done something different there.
Yeah, I think you'll like the final battle in Gekiranger a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
It just felt a
It's
little
loads
bit weak
better.
after all the build up we had. But yeah, no, the Calypso was my least favorite. Nate, what was yours?
Okay, well, first of all, the clip show, like, I don't think that's as bad as the Operation Overdrive one, which is but anyway, my least favorite episode. Okay, I hate this episode.
I know which one he's talking about. So
It's the episode Can't Win Them All. It's a Theo focused episode. Okay, I hate this episode, and here's the reason why. The plot of that episode is that Theo loses a fight to Gakko. This is one of the Five Fingers of Poison episode.
I remember this.
my favorite monster.
Yeah, Theo loses a fight to Gakko, and then he gets all depressed and he starts doubting himself. Okay, the climax of that episode is that Theo discovers that the reason why he lost to Gakko was because he didn't have enough confidence in himself. Okay, so here's a couple of problems. First of all, it's not like Theo. Why is this? Theo is overreacting. The Rangers have lost battles before, and it's not like he lost badly. He just got kicked once. So it's not like Gakko, you know, put him on the ground and like dragged him across it for like an hour or something. You just got kicked, dude. Like, get over it. But here's the problem. He says he didn't have enough confidence in himself. In the first episode, you are putting Casey down because he can't learn how to fight as fast as you do. At the beginning of this episode, you are putting Casey and Lily down when you beat them in a sparring match. And you mean to tell me that this guy's problem is that he doesn't have enough self-confidence? No. No. No, 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 no. You were overconfident. That was your problem. That's what pisses me off. I am okay with having an episode that teaches kids about the importance of self-confidence, but you need... Okay, that should have been an episode devoted to Casey, because Casey has self-confidence issues all throughout this series.
Mm-hmm.
With Theo, you need to teach him the lesson that having too much self-confidence is
Teach them some humility.
Yeah.
And what's sad is that you could even have it be a twist at the end where Theo actually isn't so self-confident and he just acts all cocky to hide how truly unconfident he is. But they don't even do that.
Nah.
So that one line of Theo saying, I only lost to you because I didn't have enough confidence in myself. No. You had too much self-confidence. I can't believe that that's the lesson that he takes from RJ. That really pisses me off.
Now, mind you guys, I was literally, me and Nate were both at his house. We watched this episode, and I can test that he did not like this episode at all. Like,
That's fantastic.
I mean, It's not the worst episode from. Okay, I did like a bad episodes from good seasons. It's not the worst episode from a good season. The worst episode from a good season is where Dana spontaneously turns into this diva for one episode in Lightspeed Rescue. That is. Don't even get me started on that. Like, that's a horrible episode too, isn't it, Anthony?
Yes.
But yeah, that episode just rubs me the wrong way, and I think that was an early episode, so I think it was a problem with the Writers Guild strike. But just yeah, I hate it.
I have to look into it, but I think the writer's strike happened about the midway point.
Oh, okay.
Like episode 13 to like 25 or something.
Hey, can't win them all, right?
Yeah.
But that,
Huh?
okay, that was bad, dude.
Get out of here.
I regret nothing. I regret nothing.
But honestly, if I take that episode out, like, there's no other episodes that I can remember disliking. I mean, I'm annoyed at how they handled the Rangers getting their jungle master powers, but I mean,
Yeah, that was handled terribly, in my
in
opinion.
but in the grand scheme of things, I can say, like, okay, like, it's not handled the best, but at your core, you're trying to teach a moral, so I can give you the bare minimum credit for that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What grade would we give an overall for Power Rangers Jungle Fury, guys? I would say A minus.
I'd give it an A.
I also give it an A.
It's not an A plus because that belongs to Time Force and In Space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we want to give any closing thoughts for Jungle Fury?
I'm actually kind of. This is a question I kind of want to ask you guys personally. Now, this season is like one of the second least, I guess, diverse cast because there's only one, of course, Asian / Filipino ranger in the group, and then everybody else is Caucasian.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel that the show might be a little bit better had they made it to where the cast was more diverse, or do you feel like if anything was changed, not counting RJ, because RJ is great, so we're not counting him at all in the equation. Would you feel like the cast could have been a little bit better if they were more diverse, or you feel this cast was just straight up fine the way it is?
If I don't usually like to talk about diversity because I talk about the characters and don't really think about ethnicity, but at the same time I can understand how, someone who might be African American might, want to relate to like someone who's there. Like if you're that way, maybe you're more likely to like, like maybe you look up the characters like TJ or Joel, I guess. So I can kind of attest to that.
I don't have that feeling when I watched Jungle Fury though, because like it did kind of like maybe like thought in my head like why not having more diverse characters in this? But it didn't bother me now.
The only main cast member that I would even think about changing is maybe Theo, but because maybe Dom too, but I don't want anybody to touch Jason Smith, Anna Hutchinson, or David De Lautor. I'm sorry, I keep butchering.
David De Lautor. You can just say that. That's his name.
Okay. Those people shouldn't be touched.
No, definitely not.
So speaking as a person of color like you, Anthony, I didn't mind the cast ethnicities in this season.
Me neither.
I thought honestly. Okay, so I'm of the opinion that I don't look at a cast and think, oh, we need more black guys, or no, we need more, Asian people or whatever. I look at the cast and I say, did the cast deliver a good performance? And if they didn't deliver a good performance, why didn't they deliver it?
Exactly.
I rarely think of it as race or ethnicity or religion or whatever. Because if we go by that metric, I don't have representation until Beast Morpher.
That's true.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't even know if Ravi is Indian. I think he is, but maybe not. They don't.
He's shown he. I mean, he favors one, but we don't know for sure.
So I mean, it's kind of like, for me being Indian, I don't put a lot of weight on American TV shows catering to my minority group or to
Me
whatever
neither.
group. Like I'm looking more for, is the story engaging? Are the characters good? Um, is the story worth following? And those are the things I look at. I'm not looking to see that we're meeting a quota of, oh, we must have at least one person of color on every team.
Yeah, I
Like
can agree with that. I mean,
I know a lot
I
of
can
people. Go ahead.
now, I can understand some people arguing in favor of that, but to me, it really doesn't make a huge difference, though.
So I know a
No.
lot of people were really mad about Ninja Steel because the yellow was originally going to be a black guy, and then they recast him to Nico something. I forget his name. And I didn't think that was the reason why Ninja Steel sucked.
No,
Ninja
definitely
Steel
not.
sucked for many other reasons, but it's not because they changed the Yellow Ranger from a black guy to a white guy.
Hell,
So
if he had stayed on there, the actual show would actually still would have been bad. we
it would
just had
still
to
been
deal with like,
garbage.
oh
There's nothing they could have done to fix it without rewriting the entire
no.
story.
But then it makes me wonder would they have kept the yellow and white ranger relationship? Would they have still been together? Like this was our first like on screen I guess black couple, I guess you could say. That makes sense as rangers.
I mean, Tyler and Shelby end up together, and they're kind of biracial.
Well, we're talking more or less like characters who are the same ethnicity.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people argue about the cast diversity, but I don't think that should really have an effect on the quality of the show.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just kind of curious what you guys thought of it. That's all.
I mean, if you want to really get down to it, Power Rangers has a lot of things where they don't give, you know, diversity to different groups. Like, up until now, you haven't really had a person who is Muslim. You haven't had a person who is from, like, South America. Like, we've had some people who were, um, they look South American, but they don't represent those countries down there. For example,
Yeah.
you don't have people with impairments. You don't have anyone like Daredevil who's maybe blind or deaf or whatever. Like, those impairments just don't pop up into Ranger stuff. But again, I don't think you need to do it until you have a good reason story-wise to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you cast for a story that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts. This is an A season. Um,
And like I said, after looking at it, I might actually put it in my holy trinity now.
yeah.
I don't think it's as good as In Space or Time Force, but I think it's the best season of the Disney era.
Agreed. Sorry, RPM.
What would you agree, Anthony? Like, is this the best season of the Disney era, or?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Well, I still like RPM a little bit more, but yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah, well, we'll talk about RPM when the time comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about SPD as well for Gekiranger because I'm really interested in.
plus I'm getting very very tired. I want to go to bed soon because I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say?
Nope.
No.
Well, we hope you people back at home enjoyed this review segment of Jungle Fury, and
even though we've already recorded one video, we hope you guys will check out our Gekiranger stuff. We're looking forward to continuing to review Gekiranger. Like I said, we will be covering Jungle Fury again when we do a comparison for Gekiranger to Jungle Fury. That's going to be a very interesting video, to say the least. If you are watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment down below with your personal thoughts on Jungle Fury, especially if you're not a fan of it. We'd like to hear your thoughts on it, on like why you've arrived at that conclusion. And we encourage friendly discussion here. We're not going to like shame you for your opinion or anything. We thank you guys so much for watching or listening if you're on Spotify and iTunes. Please check us out at animesecrets.org and also check out our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Once again, we thank you guys so much for watching or listening. And believe it or not, this is actually the first video that we've recorded in 2023, I'm sorry.
About to say, we're in 2023 now, good sir.
Yeah.
Right.
And we look forward to bringing you much more content reviewing Toku in this new year. We hope you guys had a great holiday, and we will see you guys next time as we start our Gekiranger, although keep in mind that was recorded in 2022, but that's besides the point. With that said, we will see you guys next time. So please be sure to check out our Gekiranger stuff and look forward to us reviewing more Power Ranger seasons here on Toku Secrets. But until that time, we'll see you later.
See you later.